the name of the people of Uganda, where I live. Africa is a continent with the youngest population on the planet, with a median age of 19 years, while Uganda has the youngest population in Africa and in the world, only second to Niger. So today, I am here to speak to you on behalf of that population. I want to thank the Institute of the Black World 21st Century for organizing this State of the Black World Conference and for inviting me to speak at this historical event. I'm very honored to be in the same space with great men and women. And just a few moments ago, I bumped into Dr. Julius Gavin, and when I shook his hand, I felt the heirs of the great Marcus Mosiah Gavin, the greatest Pan-African of all time. Our brothers and sisters, 60 years ago, on the 25th of May, 1963, at the founding meeting of the Organization for African Unity, OAU, which was later transformed into the African Union, AU, Dr. Kawuma and other African leaders suggested and called for the unification of Africa. If Africa had united then, today the theme and probably venue of this conference would be different. Many of the problems that we have in the black world today will not be there. The first and foremost of those problems is poverty. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah called it artificial poverty, and I agree with him. I mean, how else can we explain that Africa has everything the world needs? Land, oil, gas, cobalt, coltan, uranium, gold, diamond, copper, a young and vibrant population, perfect weather is to manufacture products. We cannot. We would have a huge market for the products coming from our factories. We would industrialize. We would drive cars made in Africa, fly planes made in Africa, use computers. But now, we import all these products and we give the wealth to the already rich countries. Brothers and sisters, the problem was diagnosed and solutions were suggested 60 years ago. Various generations have attempted to realize them, and right now, it is our turn. It is important to ask ourselves what we are doing to liberate ourselves from the dependency. I must say that many times we have been our own problem. Contestation for power has caused so much bloodshed in Africa. It has turned us against each other within our countries and also turned one country against the other, causing instability, human suffering, and divisions in Africa. It has made us weak and vulnerable. It has prevented us from building strong nations and institutions. It has delayed our unity as Africans. We cannot have a united Africa if we tolerate autocracy and dictatorships in Africa, or when we have some leaders in Africa serving the interests of our former colonial masters instead of the interests of the people of Africa. We must empower Africans, especially the young people of Africa. We must open the political space, make young people of Africa feel like they own Africa, because they actually do. Like I said, let us open the political space for the masses, not just for the elite few. We must have peaceful and orderly transition of political power. Well, these are some of the foundations that we need to build a stable and united Africa. So, brothers and sisters, I dare to say that a united Africa would allow us to use our natural and human resources to create a global power. Africa is able to be a global power and should be a global power. Right now, millions of intelligent Africans are scattered all over the world, offering their talents and intelligence for the benefit of foreign countries just because the political environment back home is hostile to them. Africa needs healing, ladies and gentlemen. I said Africa needs healing, brothers and sisters. We must stop the destructive conflicts, and I'm very happy to see that in Ethiopia, an agreement was signed to end the historical day was released. We should support them. We must also address the conflicts in other parts of Africa, including Cameroon, Somalia, Congo, and Sudan. Africa needs healing. I am convinced that we can transform Africa into what we desire, and I believe that our young people can achieve that in their lifetime. I mean, look at China. Look at them and what they've been able to accomplish in just a few decades. According to the World Bank data, in 1960, China's GDP per capita was $90, and that of Ghana in the same year was $176. Ghana, the GDP per capita of Ghana was almost twice, was almost double of that of China in 1960. But by 2021, China's per capita income was $12,556, while that of Ghana was $2,363. And by the way, Ghana is one of the best performing economies in Africa in terms of growth. On the other hand, however, Uganda's per capita income, according to the same World Bank data, is only $823. So what is my point? My point here is that if China could become an industrial power and lift the standards of their people so rapidly, we should be able to do the same in Africa. In fact, it is Africa's resources which provided and are continuing to provide the fuel for the rapid growth in China. We must be able to use our own resources, natural, mineral, and human resources for the upliftment of our people in Africa. But again, there comes the question, how can we build a united Africa when some of our African leaders see their own citizens as enemies for simply calling for change in governance? Although we have seen this in several African countries, I am best positioned to speak on the experience of my own country, Uganda. Brothers and sisters, Uganda, also called the Pearl of Africa, is a very beautiful and very rich East African country, but it's been under military rule for 37 years. General Yoweri Museveni captured power in our country in 1986 after leading a civil war that killed more than 500,000 of our people. He has kept himself in power by the barrel of the gun for 37 years and still counting. It is rather ironic that when he was swearing in as president, gun in the left and Bible in the right, he said, and I quote, "The problem of Africa are the leaders that overstay in power." I will quote General Museveni again. He said 37 years ago that the problem with Africa are the leaders that overstay in power. That was 37 years ago. He is still the president of Uganda. Every 5 years, he conducts sham elections and then declares himself winner. This happens in complete violation of all democratic principles. Shut down internet, military deployments, and all his opponents under house arrest or in prison. Those who dare to challenge him pay a very high price, just like we did in 2021 when I challenged and clearly won him democratically. I say that for avoidance of doubt. I challenged General Museveni and defeated him democratically in an election. More than 250 of my supporters were shot and killed by state security before, during, and after the election. As we speak right now, hundreds of political prisoners are languishing in prisons across the country for supporting the opposition, while many are still missing after being abducted by state security. I will also mention that enforced disappearances are continuing even as we speak right now. And yet General Museveni talks about being a Pan-African. A Pan-African who has invaded and plundered neighbors. The invasions, wars, and displacements have led to the death of millions of Africans. In Congo alone, the estimate is more than 6 million Africans dead. All those atrocities, ladies and gentlemen, are carried out in the name of Pan-Africanism. Today, Pan-Africanism is the new hiding place for dictators in Africa. They always claim that anybody who challenges their power is an agent of the West, and yet in reality, they are the real neo-colonial agents who have mortgaged our national resources in exchange for power. Brothers and sisters, we can't fight imperialism and exploitation of former colonial masters while resisting the corruption of dictators in Africa. We can do that. In September 1994, General Museveni told an American magazine, The Atlantic Monthly, and I quote, "I have never blamed the whites for colonizing Africa. I have never blamed these whites for taking slaves. If you are stupid, they should take you as a slave." That was General Museveni in 1994. And in January 2018, when Donald Trump used ugly and derogative words to describe Haiti and Africa, General Museveni said, "I love Donald Trump." That was General Museveni. Now I hear that he's trying to reach out to some of the African American brothers and sisters in the academia to help him organize a Pan-African Congress in Uganda, of course, for public relations. I understand that he has even offered funding. Well, this is a country where Africans like myself don't even have the right to be human. Brothers and sisters, the people of Africa want to have accountable governance and to end corruption. We want to realize the dreams of our forefathers. We want to integrate with other African countries. But the major roadblock to all that is domestic dictatorships. They are sustained by the West and by institutions like the World Bank and the IMF. So, while the West sings about democracy, I believe they actually prefer to deal with dictators in Africa for as long as their neo-colonialist interests are served. Today, Total Energies of France is the biggest shareholder in an oil pipeline which runs from Uganda through Tanzania. So now we see that when Africa is in chaos, the West is in business. Brothers and sisters, we want a conflict-free Africa which speaks with one powerful voice that will increase the power of our just demands, including demands for reparations, for enslavement, and for colonialism. I sincerely hope that our brothers and sisters in the diaspora can follow the example of Professor Daniels. One can actually be a dedicated Pan-African while at the same time struggling for democracy, and human rights in Africa. The two actually complement each other, and they speed up our goal of Pan-African unity and self-determination. Finally, brothers and sisters, I want to take this opportunity at this historical event to appeal directly to all my African-American brothers and sisters. Please, please, and please tell your governments through your elected representatives in Congress to stop sponsoring tyranny in Africa. Please tell your American government to stop sponsoring oppression in Africa. Please tell the US government through your elected Congress members to stop paying for our debt. The United States government currently supports the military regime of General Museveni to the tune of $1 billion every year. This is your taxpayers' money. This is money given to a tyrant with no strings attached on the issue of democracy or human rights. You are actually paying for our oppression. You are sponsoring it knowingly or unknowingly. And we are asking you to stop it because you have the power to stop it. You can. I believe that if you reach out to your elected representatives and make this demand, you can help us change things. On behalf of the people of Uganda, those that are living and those that are dead, on behalf of the women and the young children of Uganda, on behalf of my brothers and sisters that are missing, on behalf of the people of Uganda that are languishing in prison with no trial, no charge, and no crime whatsoever, we are asking you to please help us in our struggle for freedom and democracy so that we can also be useful in the bigger struggle for liberating and unifying Africa. Thank you very much.
Says, strong women and men keep rising. Yeah. And so we've heard a clarion call, who but knows